Hey guys, welcome to the fourth episode of my build video series of the Operation Barbarossa Diorama. And as you can see, since the last time you saw this dio piece, something has changed. There are no more sunflowers. Simple reason, I didn't like the look of them. I thought they looked artificial. They didn't look realistic at all to me in that situation, the way they were positioned. And someone pointed out that they should all face the same direction, and I messed that up, and so I just grew fed up of them, and I decided, well, let's get rid of them. So that's the one basic thing I did while since I showed you guys how I poured the water. I haven't put on another layer of water, although I'm thinking of putting another very, very fine layer on it just to incorporate the water lily a bit more. But that's still, well, written in the stars, so I haven't made up my mind entirely about that yet. I worked a couple of pigments into the bank right here just to blend the darker tones of the earth and the street a bit. I will do the same over here. Just some Europe earth dusty pigments just to make it a bit more realistic looking. And as you can see, the clothes are hanging on the clothesline here, and yeah, it was quite the task of getting them in there, and I dropped them a couple of times, so they picked up some grass, and as I just saw, there's a bit of grass on there, which, well, doesn't belong there. Now it's gone, and yeah. Ever since I put the clothes on, I was thinking, what am I going to do about the place where the sunflowers were? Because I didn't want to leave it empty, because let's face it, it looks empty. And when you look at this, it's just not a lot going on there. So I decided, well, we need something to put there just to make it a bit more interesting. And I talked to you guys before, and I had that idea of building a fence. Well, I went out and did. And just for demonstration purposes, I will be building a small piece of fence in a second here, just to show you guys how I build the fence, and then I'm going to show you guys the finished fence that is going to go on the diorama base. And once we are done with that, we will take a close look, and a quick look at the figures that have been painted so far, except for the two that are already glued on the dio, and then I will quickly talk about how to position figures on a dio in order to make it look at least semi-realistic. And just pointing out something here, I have been called an America hater over and over again because I at times say stuff about people in the States and about the mentality of people in the States, which, well, makes me sound as if I don't like the States. Well, I do like the States. Well, right? And I do like American culture to a certain extent. Well, we all like and dislike certain aspects of certain things, right? So I just wanted to make that, just set that straight. I do not hate the States. Just don't. Okay? Alright, let me reposition the camera and we'll talk about fencing in a second. Sponsored by Lancers Lenses. Alright guys, as promised, we'll be taking a closer look at building a fence. Well, at least yeah, as to the degree as you can build a fence yourself without much hassle. Well, what do we need? Coffee stirrers, graciously donated by McDonald's. Yeah, just go take them. Balsa wood. Those are leftovers from the balsa wood I used for the framing. When I cut it, those were left over, and we can always reuse them, right? And yeah, we'll use a couple of tools. We use white glue to glue them together to make it look like this in the end. This is what we want to have, or something similar. This is our fence. This is the final result for our fence. At least one part. And then, like you were able to see, I didn't paint it. I just used this. This is a magic figure painting liquid. And I applied it, which highlights the wood grain and all the little indentations and stuff like that. And of course the nail holes, which I will be talking to you guys in a second about. Well, what we need. we need our support struts, balsa wood. We need our backing, like this, right? We need 2 of them. So let me cut a second one quickly. This is not about accuracy right now. This is just about getting something back there. So I'm not paying close attention to the thickness here while I'm cutting this with my hobby knife. You can use a jig so you have like same thickness on both, but as this is not for accuracy purposes right now, don't need to use a jig. So we have those 2 backings, then we have our support struts, and all we want to do is glue those behind this, just so we have our basis for our ends. What we'll use for this is white glue, like I said. So we take our white glue. This is a big bottle, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to spill stuff here. Well, worked quite good. Just saying, just a small little spill there. Then we position them, so we have them almost straight, and then we'll just place them where we think they should go, like so. We'll look whether or not we spill some white glue here. If there is, and especially if there is some white glue spillage around the struts, we just clean that up with a cotton bud. I'm not cleaning this one up right now because it's just for demonstration purposes. Then it's on to our coffee stirrers. We now have the length of our fence quite well kind of outlined by the fact how long our support struts are, and that way we can trim our coffee stirrers to the necessary length, like so. This might actually be too long. No, it is okay. Right, you can see, we have to see whether or not we have our edge down there, which we don't, so we need to shorten it a little bit more. If you want to just take off a short edge, I don't think a short piece, your fingers won't be enough. Just take a pair of tweezers or whatever, and just take it off. And that way you at least get really nice, like broken off edges, which then looks much more realistic than if everything is like straight cut. And then again, we use our white glue. Careful if you apply it directly out of the bottle here, because otherwise you might spill it on your bench, which we don't want to do. We take our fence board, position it, check whether or not we are flush, or I would either go would go a bit above the bottom of the support strut here. Just looks much nicer. And then we take the last coffee stirrer. I will have to go to McDonald's soon, and I'll just show you something here. I don't know, but I had that nice little hole in the fence part I showed you. You just take 2 parts here. You can make them crooked, whatever you want. And just align them like such. Just looks nice, I think, to have holes in there and crooked boards, because it just breaks up the monotony of having everything straight, angled, and you know what I mean, right? Right. Like I said, put on the boards here, put this on there. If you have something like that, you might want to be inclined to put some pieces of wood on the floor next to the fence, because that looks realistic that way. Because somehow something had to be broken off there, so it needs to be somewhere. And I don't think the wood runs away if it's broken off of a fence. So yeah, might want to incorporate some pieces of wood line right next to it. Well, like I said, this is very highly creative task here. Your imagination can really run wild with this. Like I said, this is just for demonstration purposes, this piece. I'm not going to use this, at least not on this style. Maybe I'll use it in the future. Actually, let me check something quickly. Actually, I might use this on this die, because it fits exactly the other side of the house, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see about that once everything is done. Right, what would be the next step? Well, I talked to you about holes that are created when you put nails through wood. Each and every one of you has probably put two pieces of wood together with a nail in your life, I hope. If you're a modeler, you're a craftsman, you might want to do this. And if you do that, there is a small indentation around the hole where the nail goes through, especially if you hit it in there with force, so the connection and the bond between the two pieces is very strong. Well, we want to simulate that, and I'm using this. This is a little piece of metal with a pointy edge on the top. You can use a pin vise, you can use the tip of your hobby knife, whatever you want to use. I'll use this. I'll put it where I want the hole. Then I take some piece of metal like this, and I press down. And I press down really hard so it goes through the balls of wood. Then I fix the balls of wood. Normally you would let the wood dry much longer. The glue, not the wood. Let the wood dry. And we indent the pieces of balsa wood. The fact that balsa wood is very, very soft helps us create those effects. And actually it's not the balsa wood. I don't know what the coffee stores are made out of. Maybe they're balsa wood, I don't know. But they're soft too, so it helps. Actually, that was a nice thing here, which just happened. When I put the hole in the small broken off piece, it just created a crack all throughout the piece, which just looks so realistic, I think. Anyways, and once that's done, we let it dry, and I'll let this dry, and I'll be back in a second. Alright guys, the glue is now dried, and as you can see, our piece of fence looks like this right now. Looks okay, but well, we want to create, well, at least a bit of a contrast. We want to make it look aged. I want to make it look as if, yeah, it's been subject to wear and tear of Mother Nature. So, like I said previously, we'll be using this. This is the color shade medium from Makeup Productions, and we are going to use this odorless turpentine. You could also use white spirit to thin it and make application a bit easier. So what I'm going to do is we're going to open this bottle. Already thinned it down a bit, that's why it's so gooey. Yay. Because I've got that bottle for quite some time now, and it's starting to dry a bit. So I add a drop of white spirit or turpentine every now and then to make it a bit more, well, applicable. And like you see, we don't want to like flood the thing, although we can, because we are going to take a lot of it back with the odorless turpentine. Here, like you see, we can if we want to spread it really thick. We want to make sure we don't have like gooey pieces in there, which is due to the fact that like I said, it's a bit older now. It's starting to dry on me. You gotta make sure to mix it thoroughly and just spread it on. When you have spread it on, like so, make sure you get it everywhere, into all the nooks and crannies, whatever. We open the bottle of odorless turpentine, dip the same brush in it, and then we just help it flow and help put it into the wood grain of the wooden boards, making it look worn, making it look aged, but not flooding the detail. And what you can see, I hope, when I put it like this, you can see that the holes that we made earlier with the tool for the nails are popping out, which is exactly what we want them to do. You want to cover all the edges, all the top surfaces of the wood, because let's face it, all areas of the wood would age similarly. Like I said, we don't want to flood it, and if we do, not a problem, we can still take it back with our auto serpentine. And we'll do it on the back once the front side is dry. The good thing about the stuff is, thanks to the fact that it's a bit, that it's not as thin as like a wash, it's much easier to control. And much easier to work with it even after you apply it. A wash would be running all over the place right now. You would have your fingers covered in it. You would have it all over the place. And this stuff is so easily controllable thanks to its, the texture of it. And the fact that it's not as thin as a wash, that allows us to manipulate it, that allows us to even in 20 minutes I can go in there with the odorless turpentine and manipulate it if I don't like the results. So, yeah, that's a cool aspect that stuff offers you. One other reason I love it so much, and I endorse it to everyone that asks me about the stuff, because you can not only use it for figures. Like I said, you can use it in that situation right here to make wood grain come out. You can use it on even plastic parts, like with wood grain, like a jack block. You can use it just like a wash. And I think, especially in controlled areas where you don't want to flood other areas, I think this stuff is much better much easier usable than a wash. So yeah, that's why I endorse this stuff. If you want to know where I get it, just shoot me a message, I'll tell you. And yeah, I love the stuff and couldn't be happier about it. So we'll let this dry, and once it's dry, I'll show you guys. Actually, I'll skip waiting. I'll just get the other pieces that I have already when it's dry, and I'll show you guys the final results. Here we go, guys. Those are the final result. The final result evidence of how the fence looks once the stuff is dry. And I have applied it a bit heavier on the ones that we just saw on camera than I did on here, which is well, you can see the difference. Just hold it next to it. You can see that this is a bit starker in contrast because I used a bit more of the stuff, which is not a problem at all. And I have to say, I like the look of the diorama with the fence much more than I did with the sunflowers. It just, I don't know, the sunflowers, I just never really, I don't know, I never got into them as much as I wanted to. So yeah, that's what is in their place now. It's this fence, and I hope you guys know now know an easy, fast, and very, very, well, cost-effective way of building a fence for, yeah, almost all kinds of areas. I think wooden fences you find everywhere, so yeah. And like I said, I might be using the piece that we just built and add it in this corner right here. And I'm not sure though, so yeah. And as you can see, I've left this peek hole open so you can see what's behind there, and I'll probably position a couple of boards on the ground in front of it. So yeah, that's where we stand after part 4. Quite happy with where we are. Next up, part 5, we will talk about figures. We will talk about the vehicle, where I'm currently a bit lost because, yeah, color modulation, yeah, not working as much as I'd like to. So we'll see about that in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. This is Hollow Modeling. Always remember the force with you. See you guys next time. Bye for now.